Hi, Dyslexic Genius here, Brad Hurt. My phone number is 864-236-1680, or you can email me at dyslexicgeniushurt@gmail.com. What I'm going to talk about is an Edison Gem. This one happens to be a maroon gem, and I restored this about 35 years ago and haven't pulled it off or oiled it for that long because we don't play it. And this one doesn't belong to me. This is my Sweet Angels machine.
This one's mine.
But this is what an early restoration of ours looks like, and it's still clean as a whistle. But in the old days, they told you not to grease the spring barrels, but I do now. And what you do,
Why did they tell you not to grease them?
I always just said you don't grease these, just leave them like that. But they make a lot of noise. So what you do is you crank it up, you just leave it unwound, and you get a little bit of green grease on the end of your finger. There, a little bit of green grease. And you start from the inside, and then you just go one crank, and then you just keep adding the grease and the grease. And that'll pack the spring barrel.
So there's no cover on that?
There's no cover, it's open works. You need an oiler like this tube oiler. So
where do you get that?
I have no idea where I got this. Maybe you can find one on Amazon or eBay. The first thing we're going to do is the crank. And the crank is spring loaded back in here. But the crank goes in to the casting. So you'll put a little drop of oil there. And then you will put a little dab of oil to the cranking gear on the casting here. Next, you will come up and you'll put a dab at the end of the governors here. And then we will come back, and you have to turn the machine on or off because this shaft and the governor drive gear hide the secondary gear train back in here. And you can see a little silver piece sticking out right there. You're going to put a drop of oil on that. And I'm talking about this gear train right here where my finger is. And then you'll put a drop of oil here and on the other side over here. Now we will put a drop of oil on this gear where the pulley goes here. And you'll put a drop of oil here and here. Now the cool thing about these, and that little dab of grease will work its way into your spring. So now what you'll do is you'll just turn your machine on, and you want to oil your felt, and you'll do that. Just put a little oil on there.
Why do you put oil on the felt while the machine is running?
Because it's easier to work it into the felt, and it keeps this piece oiled. Now you're going to get your STP out. And while it's running, you'll just get a little dab of STP, and I use the Starbucks stir sticks. And the nice thing, these things are running, and you'll just take that and go like that. Oh, did you hear it get quieter? Like that. And then you'll come down and do this gear and the secondary gear back here. And that's how you oil the top end. I also, when I do these...
What about that top gear on the right?
You really don't have to grease these.
Okay.
You know, it's just this gear here. That's the cranking gear. So when the crank goes in, then it cranks, and it pops out. So you don't really have to grease this or grease that back gear. You need to oil this gear, and we'll put STP on this too. But then you'll be done, and it's wonderfully quiet. And that's how you oil the inside of a gem. But as you can see, the motor's not all gunked up with grease and junk. You know, cleanliness is next to godliness. And that's how you do this. The next video will be how to do the whole top end and the gear train.
How to do what?
How to clean it. You can see how the gears are a little a little dirty here. I'll clean these off with a toothbrush, but I'll discuss that later. This is a lot of fun, and that's my tip for the day.